Hello, Max is just coming to join us. Yay! It's our last live training before Sam comes home. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Yeah, Max is very excited. He's actually only just woken up. He's had his second nap of the day, which he gets very excited about. So I'm just going to check that we are live. Give me 1 second. Yes, we are. Okay, good. So let me know when you're here. Let me know when you're live. We are talking about list building today. See, Max always pulls in the viewers. I was just saying, it's our last live training before Sam gets home. And look how angry Max looks about that. He's like, he's just so cross about the whole thing. So let me hit the old invite button. I know we had some people around that wanted to be involved. Let me know when you are here. Max is going to try and lick or bite my face off. One of those. Please don't do that. It's very, very uncouth. I just can't not laugh. He's just too funny. Okay, perfect. Hey, Rebecca. I literally was just like hitting the invite button to you because I was like, oh, Rebecca Bolton would like this. So I'm going to get started. And if you know anybody that should be here or would want to be here that isn't currently here, please go ahead, tag them or share it with them so that they can come join the party. But yeah, today is about list building. So I want to run through how list building ideally should work. I know, he gives me some really dirty looks. I actually feel quite... sometimes I feel like I'm just his human slave. I'm like, Max doesn't actually care that it's me. He just wants a person. And I, right now, am that person. But yeah, so I thought we'd get started with some... You're getting down there? Okay. I thought we'd get started with some decent list building stuff because it seems to be quite a question that's coming up in Facebook groups recently, because ultimately a lot of people are experiencing the fact that they can get a ton of people into the Facebook group, but it's actually really difficult to get them onto their email list afterwards. And ultimately, more people do actually purchase, generally speaking, from your email list rather than your Facebook group. The reasons around that are generally because email lists or people on the email lists are more trained to buy, unless you've been spending a ton of time in your Facebook group and you don't currently have an email list. Okay, so we are on a list building mission in the mastermind. So for anybody who is not in the mastermind, here you go, get some list building juicy goodness. So there are 4 steps, and I have all the 4 steps written up there on my whiteboard to remind me, just in case I forget anything. There are 4 steps to building your list in a consistent way and actually in a way that makes people stay. Because ultimately, what we don't want to do is build an email list full of people who don't want to buy from us, right? Ultimately, we want to build a list full of ideal clients who want to buy regularly from us, who like us, who know us, who trust us, and who want to keep building that relationship with us. Hey, Susan, how are you, my love? So the first step in that is to actually think about the kind of content that you're putting out into the world, and actually start thinking about, is my message really clear? Am I putting out regular, consistent content that is designed to attract people and attract, most importantly, the people that I actually want? So we're not talking about the opt-in yet. We're not talking about the free things that you're going to give away or how you're going to phrase it on your website about here's how you can join my email list. We're literally talking about the way that you actually show up in the world. And this is an interesting one because previously when I started out in the online space and people teaching me about list building, they always used to say, oh yeah, just have a really good opt-in and people will download it. And over time, that became very evident that actually that wasn't the case, because it's the same as anything, right? You don't build it and they come. And let's ask the question here, right? Who here has had an amazing program that they have created specifically with their ideal clients in mind? They have built it and the people they wanted didn't come. Me. Millions of times. I've had programs where I've sold 0, big fat 0, because I built something, but actually just because I built it didn't mean that people showed up. But I was about to say, buyed it, but they didn't show up and bought. Whatever. At the end of the day, people did not pay for that piece of content, okay? So it's not about just showing up, just building and they will come. It's literally about being able to put something into the world that is meaningful. It's about attracting those ideal clients in the first place. And we do that by our very presence alone. We do it by showing up in groups. Exactly, right, Joyce? They didn't come because we didn't have a list. and this is the thing. This is why email list building is so important. So we have to look at how we're showing up regularly. Are we showing up and are we really showing what side of the fence we stand on? I know that my side of the fence, I'm one of those people who says, I don't really do hustle. I don't really do 24/7 working. I'm very much about sales being a key part of your business and being the thing that keeps your business alive. Because if you don't sell things, you don't have a business. And I'm very, very much about honesty, integrity. It's all got to come from a genuine place of I'm going to help these people achieve XYZ specific goal. Hey, Kathy and Susan. We've got all the Susans in the house today. This is amazing. So you've got to start thinking when you're list building, what message am I actually putting out into the world? Are you showing people what side of the fence you stand on? Are you showing people what you stand for? And are you being consistent about those things in terms, and that doesn't mean, you know, is every post that you put in a Facebook group a massive, massive long blog thing that talks at people, that jams the information down the throat. It's kind of, I see these posts and it's people that they're basically, you know, they've got people in a headlock and they're like, you will love this information and I will give it to you and you will like it. And the person's like, oh God, in the newsfeed. That was a very, very, that's a very, very physical analogy today. But it is that kind of thing, right? And so it's about showing up in the right way or the way that you want people to understand you all of the time. So for example, how are you showing up and supporting other people? Are you answering questions regularly? Are you taking the time out of your day to help people from a genuine place? You know, are you acting with integrity? Are you saying the same things in your answers and your responses as you would do in your posts that position yourself as an expert in other groups, right? Quite aggressive today. I know, I was really feeling that. I think it was because I did arms day at the gym. So now I'm like, I want to show off my guns, my non-existent guns. And by guns, I mean muscles, not guns as in actual guns. I don't have any of those. Although I don't have any muscles either. So, I mean, you could say that I'm not winning on either count. So that's the first bit about list building. You've got to have a key message. It's got to be interesting. It's got to actually be attractive to the people that you want to be speaking to, right? We want it to be interesting, informative, educate people, help them understand where you're coming from and why you want to be communicating with them, why you want to be surrounding yourself with those people. Now, the second thing is the opt-in. And the opt-in, to be fair to all the people who started out teaching me about list building, the opt-in is actually very important. And we were talking about this on the Dottie Hot Seat today. And we've got an amazing Dottie who was talking about her welcome sequence and delivery and all this kind of thing. And opt-ins are incredibly important. There are a few things that are really, really important about an opt-in. One, it's got to be sexy. Okay, now that doesn't mean before everyone's like, oh my gosh, doesn't mean it has to promise someone something that they're not going to get. It doesn't mean that it needs to be unrealistic. It doesn't mean that it needs to be a magic pill or a get-rich-quick scheme or anything like that. What it does need to do is catch somebody's attention in the newsfeed. It needs to have a name that stands out. It needs to have a graphic that makes people stop and go, oh, that's different. It needs to be something that your audience actually needs, okay, right now. So having the perfect opt-in is not just about having the perfect title or the perfect graphic or even about how much value you give away. It's about the positioning of it. Have you actually gone out to your audience and done some market research? And think about it. It literally is as simple as what I did today. What do you want to learn about? List building, sales strategy, or whatever the other one was. I can't remember what it was now. But what do you want to learn about? And people came back and said, list building. List building is the thing. Now, in order to listen and actively listened to my audience, I've gone, okay, cool, I'll do a live on list building. Now, it wasn't the one that I thought would win. I thought sales strategy would win hands down every single day of the week. But that's because I made an assumption. I made the assumption that people were like, oh, of course, if I'm going to go after something, it's going to be the sexy thing, the get rich quick, right? People didn't. Clearly, my audience are just geniuses. So you guys, all legends, and just went for the actual thing that will make you money long term, which is your email list. But the assumption we make is often very, very different to what our audience is actually trying to tell us. So when you're creating this opt-in, actually go away and spend some time on your market research, because it is the most valuable time that you'll spend. You know, doing that market research is key. It means that your audience are actually going to get the thing that they want, not the thing that you assume that they need, right? I love it. I didn't say email list because of the mini course of the Dotties. Yeah, see, if you're a Dottie, there are lots of stuff on list building in the portal. But yeah, so opt-ins. Market research comes first. What is your audience actually struggling with right now? What is their biggest problem right now? And this is super relevant to list building, because you could have what you think is the best opt-in in the world, but never get any signups for your list because you didn't actually have the thing they needed. So we need to know market research. What do they actually need? Yay, Rachel's here. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Then we need to have a good name for it, right? Names are important. Nobody wants to read the ebook that is called How to Cook Your Boiled Egg in 3 minutes or less and make sure that it tastes all right. Right? That's not sexy. Nobody wants to read that. But if the ebook is called How to Whiz Up a Boiled Egg in 3 minutes or less that tastes fantastic and gets you a new boyfriend in under a week, everyone's like, how is the boiled egg going to get me a boyfriend in a week or less? As somebody that once cooked their boyfriend a boiled egg and he then became my boyfriend, I can tell you that is possible. Also, I'm not that great at cooking boiled eggs, so it really doesn't take that much skill. But we want to go for the sexy title that is going to catch their eye. It's got to appeal to their pain, right? So think about it. Things that I use for my opt-ins are very simple. When I name my opt-ins, they appeal to the transformation that person wants to achieve. Supersize your sales guide. It's very simple. If people want to make more money in their business, they want to supersize their sales. So here's the guide to do that. List building legend, right? It's exactly what it says on the tin. I do love alliteration. That is my one downfall in life, is that I really do love alliteration. So when I have titles, I do try and make them alliterative. But actually, that's part of who I am, my little OCD streak, and it works for my brand. It doesn't have to be the same for yours, but your title does have to be catchy and it does have to say what they're going to get. So don't try and be really clever with it. You know, the worst things that I see are the ones that are complete misnomers, and it's like, oh, Yoda. You know, those cool one-word things. I watched The Apprentice last night and they were like, yeah, just call it something with one word. I'm like, oh, if I can't understand in 3 seconds what your opt-in is, I'm not going to download it. If I can't understand how it's going to help me solve the current problem I have, I'm not going to download it. So we need to make it simple. We need to make it catchy. We need to make it sexy. Okay. Graphic-wise, we all know that my graphics are terrible, but they are eye-catching. In fact, somebody did once actually say to me, maybe I should just create really ugly landing pages like yours and they'd convert better. I was overjoyed at that, actually. I was like, well, thank you very much. Well, thank you. So it's not about being the prettiest on the block, but it is about having a design that you use consistently and that is going to stand out from all of the other stuff in the newsfeed. So you do really want to be looking, at what else is coming up in the newsfeed. What are you seeing in ads? What are you, what do you kind of scroll on by? Because you're like, oh, I scroll. It doesn't look any different from anything else I see, versus, oh, that made me stop and it made me look. You might not always like it, but it did make me stop, right? I love how everyone's like rude. And I was just like, I think it was really funny. It was rude. It was rude. I think they meant it with good intentions. I think it was kind of like a frustration thing rather than your landing pages suck kind of thing. But yeah, it was one of those things where I was like, oh, interesting. So you've got your opt-in, you've got it created, you've done the market research. It's got to be chock full of value. Okay, this is the first time that people actually get something of yours. It has to be good. Okay, how many times have we downloaded something, and it's promised us the world, and its reality has been that it's a one-page PDF with a couple of bullet points? Do you ever really think, oh God, I've got to go and buy from that person? No, you don't. The reality is that you're like, oh, actually, I was really disappointed. And it makes you look at everything else that they promote and say, oh, well, that's promising an awful lot. But I remember that time I downloaded, or worse, I purchased something and it didn't live up to expectations. I'm not going to do that again. Okay? People are smart. And when we treat them like they're not, you get two reactions. One is, I'm really offended that you don't think I'm smart enough to realize that this was supposed to be super valuable and you gave me something that was made for a 5-year-old. And two, we remember things. We want integrity. We want people who say, I'm going to give you this, and that's what shows up in your inbox. Okay? So when you create your opt-in, it doesn't mean it has to be the longest thing ever. Please try and steer away from, I see a lot of people doing this recently, they're going with like 50-page ebooks or really long reports or hour-long video series where they've got like 4 videos in them and all this kind of thing. Hey, Hannah and Josie. And it just takes people too long to consume. When you're creating an opt-in, it's got to be quick, easy, and actionable. Okay, it's got to be something your audience can go, oh yeah, I can do that. And they do something, they change something, they get momentum, and they realize, oh, actually, if the free stuff helps me this much, the paid stuff would probably get me 3 or 4 or 5 steps along. Okay, is this making sense to everyone? Is everyone happy with this so far? Because we're about to dive into the juicy bit, which is ultimately, how do you get the magic subscribers on your list? But I want to check that everyone's cool with where we are. If you are, you don't have to write it. You can just throw up some emojis. There we go. I'm like, you just throw up some emojis. It's really weird. This is a bit of a tangent, but the word emoji, I never thought that we would have a word for Facebook likes, and now we do. I don't know how I feel about it. Every time I say it, I'm like, oh, emoji, and I feel a bit weird, but if anyone else feels like that, let me know. I think it's just me. But after you've got the opt-in, please, before you go out and do any of the cool, sexy stuff that we're about to talk about, I'm not ready for the magic. It's a kind of magic. I'm laughing at my own jokes. So before you go ahead and do any of the sexy stuff, okay, please check your tech. I have realized on many occasions that I have gone out, I have put out something, and the tech did not work. And that's not a place that you want to be, particularly when you realize like 3 or 4 hours later, and you're like, oh, now I know why nobody's been signing up, because it didn't actually work for them. So tech, get it right first time. It'll save you a ton of time later. Make sure you test it with all of your email addresses. If you're like me, you've got a Gmail, a Hotmail, an info at, and then an iCloud. Go nuts. Test it all day, every day. Okay. Now we get to the good stuff. And the good stuff ultimately is, where do you find subscribers? So 3 main places that I found subscribers. Emoji. oh, that's going to light me up all night. So 3 main places that I found subscribers when I was starting my email list were other people's Facebook groups. Okay, I've always been very, very open about this. When I started out and I was using other people's Facebook groups, I was showing up very consistently with a very clear message, and in groups where I was allowed, I was promoting my opt-ins regularly. Now, there are a couple of ways that worked really, really well, and there are a couple of things that just didn't. Okay, know your audience and promote in groups where A, you're allowed to promote, that's always a good start, and B, where your ideal clients actually are. Just because, we've talked about this before when we were talking about Facebook groups and how to use them properly. Just because there are 6,000 people in a group and you're allowed to promote in there, it doesn't mean that it's full of your ideal clients. Make sure that it is before you go and throw something out. The other thing is timing. If you're going to be using Facebook or Facebook groups for list building, you've got to know how to work the algorithm. And that's really important. The way that the Facebook algorithm works is that when you put something up, if people don't like it or comment on it or share it within like the first 10 minutes of its post life, what tends to happen is Facebook stops prioritizing it until someone does like it. So what that means is your post is not being flashed up as many times in the newsfeed, either in the group or in the main newsfeed, and that people aren't seeing it. And if you are in a group that is primarily US based, but you're in the UK, like I was or am, if you post early morning and the group is all in the US, they're all sleeping. They're not even going to see it. They didn't see the post, they didn't see the group because they were asleep. So you're going to miss out on downloads. So wherever you're putting this, you need to be thinking, is it the right time? And this is why I know that a lot of us work on spontaneity and all this kind of thing. And I'm like, totally agree. When you feel like you've written something epic, yes, you want to share it. Please share it in places that are appropriate and that it's the right time to be shared in. If it means sitting on it for another 4 hours and actually like holding onto that post, but knowing it will do really well when people are awake and looking at it, hold on to the post, wait for the right time. Don't just put it out there and expect that it will still perform just as well, because it won't. And that's not because of the post and it's not because of you, it's because it wasn't the right time. Okay, so I see a lot of people doing that and they're like, oh yeah, cool, it's 9 a.m. in the UK, nobody in the US is awake, I'm going to plaster my freebie everywhere. And I'm like, oh, your audience aren't going to see it. Okay, so timing is really key. The other thing is make your post actually interesting. Okay, now when you're promoting in other people's Facebook groups, like we had a promotional thread in here recently, and I said, give me a best pitch and all of that kind of thing. And some pitches were epic and we talked about why they were epic. They used a story. They went ideally to something that was free to warm up the audience. They used something like emotion, humor, something that really made them relatable and easy. And they're also specific. Okay, they were specific to their audience that they were looking for in this particular group. If you're using other Facebook groups for list building, you really want to be specific with your opt-in. Get really, really specific with your opt-in. Don't do anything generalized, because yes, you'll get a ton of people that sign up potentially, but they're not going to be your ideal clients because it wasn't specific enough to draw those in. Okay, so be specific about your opt-in and be specific about your post. Who do you actually want to be downloading this, and make them work for it? Yes ladders used to be very, very popular. I don't see that many of them now, because a lot of groups don't allow them. However, your business page is the perfect place to put a yes ladder. And a yes ladder effectively is a really, really well-structured post that frames your opt-in, positions it as something that your audience really wants, and asks them to comment to get it. Okay, so if anyone's got chatbots, this is perfect for you. If you don't have chatbots, this is perfect for you, because all they have to do is comment yes, and they get the freebie. You then private message them that freebie, and then the next person comments yes. You private message them the freebie, and then yes, yes, yes. Now, the reason that we do this is because we play the Facebook algorithm, and we say to Facebook, okay, got your number. I know that if my post isn't liked or shared or commented on, it's going to go down in the newsfeed. So what I'm going to do is ask my audience to ramp it up in the newsfeed. And then that way, every time someone comments on it, Facebook's like, yay, puts you up in the algorithms again, right? So we're going up and up and up. That means that your post, instead of having, a 12-hour shelf life, can get a 2 or 3 day shelf life in the newsfeed, because so many people are commenting on it consistently. Okay, now that's a tricky one to pull off in most groups, especially groups where it's not allowed, or you're not allowed to do promotion or anything like that. I've been put in messenger jail. Yeah, you've got to be careful about things like messenger jail and stuff like that. But ultimately, if you have a chatbot or something, they're $10 a month from ManyChat. it will automatically private message them. You don't get put in Facebook Messenger jail, and it all works out lovely. Top tip. I'm like, top tip from Jess. So yeah, that would be what I'd be doing. Equally, just make sure that you're not completely copying and pasting the message, and that you're not sending, 50 in 10 minutes. It's when you go away and leave your post that you get like 300 of them, and then you're trying to copy and paste 300 into it at the same time. Then Facebook is like, no, we're not having this. If you do get put in Facebook Messenger jail for messaging, that's okay. It happens to all of us. I got put in Facebook Messenger jail, not Messenger jail, but tagging jail, for tagging people into the welcome video at the top of this group. I had a lot of people who were joining the group at one period of time. And so Facebook was like, no, you can't tag anyone. Usually lasts about 24 hours. And the best way to solve that problem is to make sure that you're checking on this post and that you're going back and saying, okay, great, I've messaged you, check in your other folder, so that people know that they're going to get a message. And obviously, if your page replies privately, i.e. with a chatbot, it's going to say that anyway, so everyone else will know to still comment. All right. And if you do get it and it's an issue, just put the link in at the bottom, like halfway down, just put the link in. I did this in a group, I want to say a year ago, February 2016. So actually, no, I lied. I'm really sorry. I did this during the first round of cash creation to prove that it still worked, because everyone was very, very cynical about the potential that this had. And I got 300 opt-ins from one post. So, and that was in February 2017. So if you have access to cash creation, you can actually go back and you can look at the template for that post, and you can look at the post itself, and you can see all the likes and the opt-ins and all that kind of stuff. So you can use that. But that's one way of growing your list. Okay, so that's an example of a kind of post that you could put out there on your business page, raise your profile, and you can do this with anything. It doesn't have to be with a PDF or a checklist or a guide or an ebook. You can do it with a giveaway, with a competition, with anything that you think your audience is really into right now that you want them to sign up with their email address for. Okay. Where was I? Yeah, so Facebook posts. That's one way of growing the group. And there are many other Facebook posts that you can use. Yes, ladders work really well if you want a lot of opt-ins in a short time. Other than that, it is about going and doing what we talk about, building the relationships, making sure you're posting regularly, making sure that you're promoting regularly, and making sure you're making it tailored, specific. It's got a core message that's going to attract your clients. Okay. And going out into groups and putting it out there, because I often get a lot of people who say, oh, Jess, but my opt-in doesn't work. It doesn't convert. I don't get anyone signing up to it. I'm like, well, how much traffic are you driving to it? Are you sending anyone to your website to do it? Are you putting it out in any Facebook groups? Are you posting it on Twitter? Are you putting it on any other forms of social media? If you're not, the chances are nobody's seeing it. So you can't expect people to download something when it's not actually being put in front of them regularly. So if you want to be building your list, you've got to make a concerted effort to actually put your list out there to promote, right? The second thing that has been really, really popular for me with list building has been PR. Without a doubt, it's one of the easiest ways to grow your list organically that you don't have to pay for. And it's great because, I love PR. It's great for two reasons. One, PR is always going to establish you as a credibility or an expert in the space. It's always going to establish you as somebody who is knowledgeable in that area and that it's safe for people to download from or to get information from, okay? The second reason that PR is great, especially for list building, is that it always gets you quality leads. When I've had times where I've been building my list through PR, I've always had the right people. It's very, very rare that I'll get the wrong person or the wrong kind of client from a PR-driven list building campaign, rather than when I go out and, maybe post in a Facebook group that I'm doing something. The reason is that people who are, I love it, credibility city, yeah, it is, said from a resident PR expert, but it allows you to communicate with ideal clients, because let's face it, action takers, people who are genuinely really interested in learning about a specific topic or a specific industry, they're going out and they're reading about it. They're reading blogs, they're listening to podcasts, they are soaking up information. Yes, they may also be in Facebook groups, but the culture of Facebook groups has been such that we have to give so much value. We have to build. It takes them a lot longer to buy. Whereas when you are featured in a magazine, when you've written a guest blog, when you have been interviewed on a telesummit or something like that, you automatically have this instantaneous credibility that makes you a safe person to come back to download from, to buy from, makes it very, very easy. All right. So PR is huge for building your list. And it is a simple case of looking at, and indeed asking your audience, what are you reading right now? What are you listening to right now? Where are you looking for information on XYZ topic? And actually just going out to those places and saying, and I did this in a pitch for Huffington Post back in 2016. But I did this in a pitch to Huffington Post where I said, hey, I polled my audience recently. I asked them what publications they read when they were looking for information on building a business, and Huffington Post came up really high on the list. Given that my audience is clearly reading your stuff, I think that they're probably very similar to most of your readership, and therefore I have this idea for an article that I thought would be great. They published it within 24 hours, and I grew my Facebook group from 700 people to 1,400 within about 3 days. The group was huge. It expanded rapidly because people were coming from this article that had come from Huffington Post. Now, yes, they weren't all on my email list because the call to action was not to get on my email list. It was to get into my Facebook group. At that point in time, that's the area of my community that I wanted to be building. But if you're looking to build your list through PR, the strategy is exactly the same. Look at what your audience are reading, look at what they're listening to, actually go out, pitch yourself to those places and have your call to action be, come on my email list, download my freebie, come and get some value from the content that I'm going to be putting out into the world. Okay. So we've got Facebook groups / Facebook for list building. We've got PR for list building. The final thing we have for list building is, of course, paid traffic. Now, paid traffic, if you're making less than 5K a month, I don't recommend it because I think it can be a big time suck and a big money suck because you have to learn everything. So unless you're in a place where you are happy to hire a Facebook ads manager and you're happy to spend on them and then an ad budget and get somebody professional to do it for you, paid traffic is not the way forward, okay, for list building, because it can be a very difficult thing to do, right? In all honesty, setting up Facebook ads are changing every 5 minutes at the moment. You know, they've got rid of Power Editor, they're doing everything in Ads Manager now, they're changing the graphics things, they're changing the rules around what you can write regularly. It becomes a bit of a minefield. So you do want to hire somebody who actually knows what they're doing. In terms of paid traffic, in case anybody's at that stage where they're like, actually, Jess, I want to hire somebody to do this for me because I don't want to, put any effort into creating the ad myself. Hey, Jane, how are you, my love? Haven't seen you in a while. You want to make sure that your targeting is on point, okay? Don't go for just the random things that everybody else does, okay? Don't just bung in The Secret as your target audience because you're like, oh, well, everyone online reads The Secret or watches the film. Really think about your actual ideal clients and what they specifically are looking at, reading, the type of behaviors they have, and get deep into your targeting, and ideally practice a retargeting model. Put out something that's going to establish authority and credibility, like a video. You could boost a Facebook Live. You can put out a piece of authority content. I recently had an interview that I did with Jill Stanton of Screw the 9 to 5. It got 10K views on its own organically. So 10,000 views on its own, and then we boosted that and it got in the end almost 70,000 views for very little money, but obviously that's great, views are fantastic. What we did then that was really powerful was actually went back and retargeted those viewers with an opt-in. So we went back and we wrote a separate ad that said, hey, now that we know that you like us, come over here, give us your email address and sign up and get this really awesome thing in return. All right, does that make sense? So it's put out authority content first, then retarget. And like I say, if you're not happy to do that yourself, definitely hire someone who can help you. Definitely ask for advice from people who know what they're doing. Debbie, is it worth boosting a post to a targeted audience to promote your freebie? Yes, you can do it. Like I say, you can do it, just be very, very specific and know what you're doing. Don't just go into it kind of blindly and be like, oh, sure, I'm just going to stick £10 a day on this. Really think about, what do I want to achieve? Who do I really want to get in front of? It's more successful, I have found, with people who are doing it locally. So if you are somebody who's running a local business or who wants to be very prevalent in the local area, boosting posts and creating ads for a specific location can be really successful, even if you don't know tons about ads. And the reason for that is that it's a smaller demographic, and it's a little bit easier if your service is something that everyone needs. It's a little bit easier, you know, if you've got a lawn mowing service or a window cleaning service or anything like that, it's naturally going to be something that people are like, oh yeah, of course, why wouldn't I want that, and kind of click. So local can be slightly easier if you don't know what you're doing, but again, always recommend that you get advice and that you hire a professional if you're going to go especially down a long-term paid traffic route. Okay, so that really is how you build your list. Have a consistent message that you put great content around the internet with. So whether it's blogging, whether it's that you go into Facebook groups regularly, whether you're showing up on Instagram, you need to be dominating a platform, 2 at most, with specialist content that is interesting to your audience, that really shows them what side of the fence that you sit on and positions you as the expert. Okay, then you need to have an awesome opt-in. It needs to have a sexy title. It needs to be something that's going to catch your eye. And most importantly, you must do your market research. You must actually validate they need that thing, and that your paid service is going to be congruent to that, so that they don't have to buy your paid service to get the use out of the freebie, but that your freebie leads in nicely to whatever the paid service is. You need to check your technology works. And then finally, you need to be out promoting it everywhere. Okay, and again, that comes back to platform domination. You need to be either out in Facebook groups, on Instagram, on Twitter, using the algorithms to your advantage, you know, making sure that you are consistently being in front of people. You can use PR, so you can go down that route of establishing yourself immediately as an authority, having everything drive back to your email list as a call to action, or you can go down the paid traffic route, okay? And you can use paid traffic to get a ton of signups. That's always, they're always going to be your choices, organic or paid. Organic, it's going to be much easier to use social media and PR, and paid, it's always going to be easier to use ads. Okay, rather than paying for, I've seen something recently about people paying for like guest blogging opportunities and things like that. I've never ever paid for a blogging opportunity in my life, and I never will. I'm not paying somebody else to write for their platform to give them content that they can use to, you know, boost their readership. I'm happy to do it for free, but I won't pay them for that. All right, that's just not how I operate. Are there any questions on any of that? Sorry, I've realized my voice is starting to go, so I'm starting to sound like a croaky old man. Some water should sort it out. Are there any questions on any of that? Any questions on how to create an opt-in that converts? Any questions on how to title it? Any questions anyone has if you've already tried list building and it's not working right now for you and you need any troubleshooting on it? Let me know. And if you have questions, I'm here. I'm here to help right now. And if you go away from the live and you think about it later and you're like, actually, I did have a question, pop it in the group, tag me. I'm always happy to help. Okay. If you have a question, throw up an emoji. I'm like, I don't want to keep everyone here if nobody has questions. Everyone's just like waiting for the elusive question. So if you have a question, throw up an emoji and I'll wait for you to finish typing. Please also remember, whilst we're waiting for emojis and questions, that it is the final day to join the Dotties. I don't promote massively often and I don't promote massively hardcore, but this is the only, or this is the final time this year that I'm opening the Dotties, that it's going to be $47 a month, where you are going to get one-on-one laser coaching sessions with me every single quarter weekly live Q&As, monthly hot seats, plus all the content in the Jotties, plus the amazing community. So there's no commitment, there's nothing, you know, you don't have to sign in for 6 months or anything like that, but this is the final time it will be offered at that price with everything included, okay? After that, it is gone, and that's it. It's done, it's dusted, and it will be back, and it will be at least 67 per month the next time we open, and it will not have the one-on-one quarterly laser sessions, all right? I've just been told by too many Jotties that it's too valuable, and I've been told off by my coach that I've sold it at $47 for a year, and I know, you know, to be totally transparent, I know that it's worth a lot more, and so I need to lead from the front. I need to stand in integrity, and I need to say, hey, look, actually, this is the time when we have to own how great the membership site is, and it is awesome. If you have any questions about it, if you're kind of on the fence about signing up, you're not sure whether you should, you're not sure whether it's right for you, drop me a message. You know, drop me an email, drop me a message, tag me in the group, ask me questions. Feel free to ask other Jotties. They'll tell you what it's like. We've had quite a few new members. I think we've had almost 30 new members in the last 2 days. So the last 3 days, I can't remember how long we've been launching, but we have space for 10 more for this launch. So there are going to be a specific number of spaces for the quarterly laser sessions, and they will be gone at the end of this launch. All right. Rachel, I'm stumped on a sexy opt-in that is right for my ideal client. Oh, I love it. Who's your ideal client? Like, that's the thing. And what's their major pain point right now? Because once we know that, you can create an easy opt-in. So the opt-ins that I really like are things that are simple, easily digestible, and actionable. So for me, I love checklists. Checklists convert really well for me, or like the top 5 ways to do X. You know, things like video series are good, and they're good for a certain level of buyer. But if your ideal client is a newbie, they usually want things that are quick that they can take action on. And a 4-part video series is actually a really difficult freebie for them, because they're like, oh, I have to wait like 4 days to get everything. Female solopreneurs, what's their major pain right now? I'm like, it's okay, you can share, safe space. I'll throw out some ideas and you can pick whichever one you want. But yeah, so you want to be thinking about what's easily digestible for them. PDFs, checklists, I know that we all bang on about how crap they are, but actually they can be really good. I have, we're running ads to one at the moment in my business. It's called the top 10 ways to build your list without using paid traffic. If you see it pop up in your newsfeed, grab it. It's actually really, really good. And it's been the same opt-in for, I don't know, 2 years. We update it every so often, and we retire it every quarter. So we run it for like 3 months, and then we retire it, and then we bring it out in a further 3 months. And everyone goes crazy over it because it is really valuable content in an easy way to digest. So it literally lists the top 10 ways that I've built my list, right? Rachel, they're not attracting their dream client. They're stuck with what to do next to become visible. Why don't you do a quiz? A quiz that identifies what they need to do next, like what they're already doing. So you could have a quick quiz. You can do them with like lead quizzes, or you could even do them with Typeform or something like that if you wanted to. I'm not sure how the tech works on that, but I have seen them being done. You could do a really cool quiz on identifying how they are in terms of interaction, and then your quiz answers could be like, you're going to be the perfect podcast guest, or you're going to be the perfect blogger, or you're going to be the perfect person for a guest interview or a telesummit, right? A quiz would be a great idea. You could even do like the top 5 ways to, exactly, me and Bernadine have the same thing, top 5 ways to build your visibility, right? It's, you do something so simple. I'm glad you love it. There you go. Free quiz ideas for everyone. But quizzes are really popular right now, and I love it, especially if you can tie it in with like a person, you know, like I don't know, what's your celebrity personality kind of thing. You'd be like, oh yeah, if you're Gary Vee, then you're a vlogger naturally or something. That would be quite cool. But yeah, that would be what I'd be doing. Something really simple that helps them identify, oh, what's the problem? Because everyone's going to be like, oh, well, I'm already doing social media, but of course it's not working. So they need to know, based on their characteristics, what is going to work. Okay. Debbie, I need a sexy title. Yeah, we love that. Sexy titles all around. How to never book another disappointing spa day, or is that good enough as it is? I would, because what we don't want to do is be like how to never do something. We want to be like, I like it, but I think you could put more emphasis on it in a couple of ways. So one, you could do something on the 3 ways to book spa days that are stupendous, because that gives people, it's aspirational, it's inspirational. They're like, oh, cool, it's going to be amazing. This is the top 3 ways that I can make sure I book the best spa day. The other thing you could do is tailor it to person type. So you could have like the best spa, the ways to buy the best spa day for your girlfriend, wife, grandmother, whoever, for your girlfriends kind of thing, having a girls' day out. You can have something like that to make it specific. If you're going to do local, something like that's usually really good, because obviously people want to know what's in their local area. The other way that you could do it would be how to avoid spa days that suck. Because everyone wants to come away from the pain. Everyone's like, oh, what sucks about a spa day? So you could be like, how to book a spa day that doesn't suck. This is me trying to be alliterative. That's why you're watching the cogs go around in my brain. But having that kind of thing, how to never do something is difficult, because it puts a positive with a negative, and that can be quite difficult for the brain to cope with. But you could have, the top 3 ways to, the 3 things to avoid if you don't want a spa day that sucks. Those kinds of things make it really easy for people to identify what's the ultimate outcome of your opt-in, right? Does that help? Silly question, how does Typeform work? There are no silly questions. Typeform is really, it's quite a simple thing to use. I think Bernadine actually just typed that. But yeah, Typeform, you can get a free version or a paid version, and you can use it to collect answers and also to create quizzes. So it's really, really simple to use. It's kind of like Google Docs. It looks very much like Google Docs, but it's very, very good, and you can customize it. Oh, good. Yay. Does anyone else have any other questions? If you don't, that's cool. I will let you go for the evening. So Sam is coming home in T-minus 10 hours. I don't know. Sam is coming home whenever he's coming home. He's on the plane. He is on the plane. He is headed back to the UK. I'm very excited. It does mean that I'm not going to be in here tomorrow. So this is the final day of the Dohertys. I will be around this evening. So I'm blowing up balloons. I'm getting things ready for Sam coming home. I'm tidying up. I'm listening to music. Chilling out. Whoop, whoop. Very, very excited. I will take pictures of the balloons and the decorations and everything for you all. But if you do need anything, I am about. If you have any questions about joining the Dohertys, I'm around. It is the final time, midnight tonight, UK time, so 7 p.m. EST is when the cart will close. It's when the link will come down. It's when you won't be able to become a Doherty, and I won't be opening it again probably until December-ish, maybe January, so I can get everyone in there, onboarded, get all of their quarterly one-on-one calls sorted, and get everybody together with accountability buddies, action plans, and moving forward. All right, so if you have any questions about it, and I'm not ever going to pressure anyone into buying it if it's not right for you. If you have questions and you just want to check, fire them away, pop them in the group, pop them in a message or an email to me. I'm happy to answer. But yeah, thank you very much from the bottom of my heart for being here tonight, but also for keeping me company for the last 3 months while Sam's been away. It's been absolutely epic. We've been through a lot, I feel, in the last 3 months, but I do massively, massively appreciate all of the support, all of the emails and messages, and the tags from people who have been really, really supportive during the time it's been away, because it isn't easy it isn't easy having him away. It's not easy with him not being here, but I really have massively appreciated the support from everyone in here, and that's what we're all about. So thanks, guys. I massively appreciate it. Love from, as Kelly Rita would say, from my ovaries to yours. But have wonderful evenings, afternoons, mornings, wherever you are in the world. If you need me, if you have any questions, I'm around, and I will be back next week for some deep dive trainings, for some cool guest expert spots, and obviously to celebrate some amazing work from some cool people in the community. So I will see you then. Bye.